Hello, my sunshines, and welcome back to another episode of the Creating Sunshine podcast. As always, I am your host, Sarah, and I am joined today by Jordan, who, ironically enough, we were at an event together was it end of March? And I saw her, but we didn't actually speak at the event. And
Not
then
one.
after the fact, I think it was because you got up at the very end and then you said like what you were raising money for. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I would have connected with her like at the beginning of the day or even yesterday. So I ended up messaging her and I was like, I would love to get to know you, to support you, what you're doing, have you on the podcast, all the things. So welcome to the show, Jordan.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, should I address you as Dr. Jordan or can I just call you Jordan?
Hey, Dr. Jordan.
Well, for those people that don't know you, and they're going to get to know you throughout this episode, obviously, what's like the Jordan story that led you to doing what you do now with naturopathic medicine and founding your Unshakable Wellness?
Yeah. Kind of a twofold story for me. For those of you who don't know me, I am a naturopath out of Scottsdale, Arizona. That's why she asked if she should call me doctor. No, it makes me uncomfortable. The journey to naturopathic medicine is very different for everyone, I've noticed. Most people have some sort of personal story. I have a personal story and a professional story. I'll start with kind of the beginning. I originally went to University of Arizona to become a nurse. I was going through that program and I just fell in love with the science behind everything that I was learning. So I got my degree in molecular and cellular biology. And then I learned that you can't do anything with that besides go into research or become a doctor. So I was planning on going to traditional medical school. I had taken my MCAT. I was working at a hospital out in Tucson. And at that time, I was working on a cancer unit, bone marrow transplant oncology. And I can't really tell you when it hit me, but I just was not thrilled with the care that people were getting, to be honest. There were so many people that were dismissed, ignored, their questions weren't answered. Doctors spent 4 seconds with them and then went out the door, and that was their journey at the hospital. And very quickly, I started to realize that that was not the medicine culture that I wanted to be in. And I was also shadowing a surgeon at the time. And I was just talking to him about it. And I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do, but I don't know what I want to do. So he was like, take a year off, go move back to Phoenix, get yourself settled there because that's where you want to be, and figure out what you want to do. And at that time, I moved back. I got into personal training and don't know how it happened, actually, but I got in contact with someone who was a naturopath. I can't remember how we met. They're like, go tour the school. There's a school in Tempe, go see what it is. And I went to Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine for just a tour day. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. These are my people. And ended up moving forward in that capacity. That's the kind of professional side of it all. The personal side, I have always been sickly, like from childhood. I was a preemie. I was born 2.5 months early, and I don't know what happened, but I had high blood pressure at 17, always got sick all the time. And I'm talking about high blood pressure, like stroke alerts were called. I'd been in and out of the ER multiple times, and a cardiologist couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. A nephrologist couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. It got to the point where the last time a doctor told me there was nothing wrong, I left the office in tears and told my mom I was done. I was like, I literally don't care if I have a heart attack. I'm 19. I was running marathons at the time. I was very healthy. And I was like, no one can figure out what is happening. And that was around the same time that a couple years down the road, still had high blood pressure. But I met the naturopath and was telling her about my story. And she was like, well, has anyone checked for a stenosis of your renal artery? Nope. And she was the one that actually figured out why I had high blood pressure. And I was like, this is a sign. I'm just going to go with it. And that's how I ended up where I am today. The reason for opening my business, truthfully, realized I don't like working for other people. And
Same.
it's that. And when you're working for someone in this space, they always have a little bit of control over how you practice. And
Right.
I don't like that. I like being able to spend as much time as I want with patients. kind of figure things out if they need to. I'm very financially lenient with patients. If you need a payment plan, you can get a payment plan. I'll meet you where you are, and you don't really have that kind of flexibility when you're working for someone else.
Mhm.
So then was born Unshakable Wellness.
I love that. Well, and I think a lot of things I really resonate with what you said about when you were talking about the cancer patients. And,
Mhm.
I went through my own journey with breast cancer last year. And I would say the majority of the people that were at the cancer center, the best people were like the nurses, right? The ones that were like administering the chemo. And I'm just like, you guys are saints. Like, I don't know how you sit here and do this all day, every single day. Like, it's crazy. But as far as, like my oncologist, I think there's a lot of things that maybe I was concerned about or I had questions about. And I would ask her, and she was very dismissive. She acted like nothing was a big deal. And I would just leave and be like, but this just doesn't feel right, and same, like rushed out and everything else. And I love those reasons because also my plastic surgeon that I ended up using for my breast reconstruction after my double mastectomy, she's in private practice for a lot of the same reasons that you are. And I had her on the podcast a couple months ago actually talking about that and saying like, yeah, if you're running late because you're getting lab work done, like I'm not going to cancel your appointment,
Yeah. Right.
like I'm here for you. And the same
Right.
thing with the payment plan. And ironically enough, her being out of practice is literally the only person that I didn't have to pay last year, which is insane because she negotiated with my insurance company. So
You
I
just
love
have
I love
much
those reasons.
ability. Yeah. And for
Right.
those of you who are not looking at me or watching this, I also have cancer. I have my own cancer story. And I was fortunate enough that my oncologist, I can't relate to what you just said. My oncologist has been an absolute saint for me. But yeah, when I was working on it, I just did not feel that that was across the board. And I would say he is 100% what's the word I'm looking for? He's an anomaly. He is not the
Mhm.
norm.
Mhm. Well, and I could say now, like, her and I have a really good relationship, and I still have to go see her every 3 months now that the cancer's gone and everything, and she's like she did great as far as the treatment goes and everything else, and her plan was fantastic, and the cancer's gone, and, like, that was the goal,
Right.
and I would always, going through it, and that's why I think, doctors like you in this space are so important because I also had to be reminded a lot of times, like my mom would always tell me, she's like, she's an oncologist. Her job is to cure the cancer, get
Yeah.
rid of the cancer. She's not a nutritionist. She's not this, she's not
Right.
that. Because the questions that I had, a lot of times, like she'd be like, oh, well, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But then now realizing I probably needed someone more like you
Yeah.
to
Handle
go
that.
along with the
Yeah.
treatment plan that my oncologist had.
That was actually my background in naturopathic medicine was integrative cancer care. That's what I trained in. That's what my residency was in. And then I didn't want to be around a bunch of cancer patients when I had cancer. So I pivoted.
I don't blame you. That
Yeah.
had to have been difficult. So we talked yesterday and I was like, wait, so technically you are cancer free now, but you're still in treatment.
I really don't even know what we call it. So I have chronic myeloid leukemia. So it's very slow growing. It's the good cancer, quote unquote. If you
Don't
so
you love when they say that? Like, well, this is the better one to get.
someone told me that, and it wasn't my oncologist, it was just a human on the streets, and I was like, "I could punch you in your eye, actually.
Right.
You wanna have
Right.
the good cancer? 'Cause I'll give it to you."
Right. People would say that to me too because I had triple negative. So
And
mine
you're
wasn't like fueled by estrogen and everything. And they're like, well, you didn't have to get your like your men they didn't have to throw you into menopause. They didn't have to do all that. So like out of the one that you got, like that's the good one, right? And I said, yeah, I just went through chemo and I lost my hair and I had to chop my breasts off. And like, but yeah, I had the good one.
like, I can say all day that I got the good cancer, you
Right.
can't
You
say that.
cannot, no. But
Uh,
what do you think were the biggest, like, mindset shifts for you? Because you're already in this space, like you said, and you're already doing this work, and then you get diagnosed. So, obviously, like you said, you pivoted what you were doing because it was difficult for you to be
yeah.
around them. But what else happened, like, while they tell you, like, you have leukemia, and now you're sitting here still taking care of other people?
Let me circle back 'cause I didn't answer your last question. No cancer cells active, still
Oh,
on
yes.
treatment. Technically was supposed to come off last October. We are the first individuals of my age that have CML. Typically, it's a very, very young or very, very old cancer. So we're this new subset of 30-something-year-olds that have CML. So the treatment timeline keeps getting pushed as more research.
Uh,
So technically, we all are in remission but treated still. So I think maintenance treatment is what they're calling it.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
Mindset shifts. This is probably one of the biggest questions I get asked because anyone from the outside just saw me handling it positively and like head on the entire time. And I'm sure you can resonate with this. It's the only thing you can do. I mean, your options are you face it head on and you're like, okay, well, and I'm a Christian. So immediately I was like, you know what, God, this is in your hands. I can do literally nothing about this. Or you be depressed, you be angry, you be mad at the world, and your mental health falters. And then you feel like crap while you're going through all of this. So
Yep.
think the biggest mindset shift for me was to get rid of the control. I inherently have a control issue. When you're handed something like a cancer diagnosis, your options are to say, okay, I trust my oncologist, I trust whatever higher being I believe in, and this is now in their hands. So it was eye opening to me in the level of control that I do not have over my own life.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as just the day-to-day mindset shifts, life is so short.
Yeah.
I'd never one day if you would have told me when I was 20 that at 29 I was gonna be diagnosed with cancer, I would have laughed at you because what? No one expects that. And it really just made me grateful for the life that I have. It made me want to step out and do the things that I wanted to do. And for anyone listening that's hearing this timeline, yeah, I opened my practice while I was going through cancer treatment. And I think the cancer is actually what pushed me to be able to do that. Because it was like, am I going to sit here and be miserable for the rest of whatever this could be? You
Yep.
know? Like,
I think it really, I mean, it puts things in perspective, right?
yes,
Like
absolutely.
so much. And I feel the same. I took last year off to go through treatment, to go through surgery. I took a leave of absence from work. I'm a single mom. I have 2 young girls, and I was like, I can't just go to work on my good days and then be homesick on my bad days. Like they were 7 and 11 when I told them, and they were scared obviously. And I was supposed to go back to work, and I was senior manager at Costco, and a lot of people like I've talked about this many times on the podcast, but I'd worked there for 27 years. Like I was on
Oh my
the like on
gosh.
the ladder to moving up to having my own warehouse, to doing all the things, to making really good money, but at what cost, at what expense, you know? And for me, it was about the time that I wasn't going to get with my daughters, the time that I didn't realize how much I was missing until I took that time off work. And it was the same thing. The cancer is what pushed me to resign from my job in January when I was supposed to go back to like actually go all in on my dreams and the things that I wanted to do because
Oh,
I realized life is short and what are we waiting for?
what like it's really not worth it. And at the same, I don't know how much of my journey you know, but my grandfather had passed away the beginning of October. Oh my God, I'm freezing. I'm sorry. Am I
That's
frozen
okay.
on your end? My grandfather had passed away beginning of October. No, I'm lying. I got diagnosed while he was still in the hospital. He passed away a week after my diagnosis.
My goodness.
So, my poor mother, I was in the hospital with her dad when I called her in tears and I was like, I have leukemia. And she was like, shut up, Jordan. I was like, not lying. Why would I lie about that? So I think personally, I probably went into a functional freeze for like 6 months because I think most people that hear those words do. And then
Yeah.
double on top of that, I didn't want to add more of a burden to my family as they were dealing with my grandfather passing away. So it was like, I'm just going to keep this to myself. And then during all of that, you somehow become a little bit stronger. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
I would
but
agree with that.
it was probably 6 months before I actually came to terms with the fact that I had cancer, 'cause, the treatment I was on wasn't supposed to cause hair loss. I'm bald because of alopecia, but yeah, my
But
oncologist.
were you did you already have alopecia before you were diagnosed with leukemia?
I had alopecia areata. Like I said, I was sickly. So I had the high blood pressure, I had gut issues, I started losing my hair at 18, but I had areata, so that means it falls out in little patches, and
Mhm.
actually it's coming back in patches right now, which is great. But I had been on treatment for that for so long, which is just cortisone injections in the head, that my
Mhm.
dermatologist was like, "It's possible that during stressful times in life, you can push towards alopecia totalis, which is when we lose all our hair." And about a year and a half into treatment, I just started purging all of my hair. It was just like falling out at the seams. My hair fell my hairline was like back here. when I
Mhm.
finally shaved it. Then I lost my eyebrows, my eyelashes. So we don't know if it's going to come back when I come
Yeah.
off your treatment. Because right now I have hair growth coming back, but nothing up here and nowhere else. So yeah.
Ironically enough, I lost my hair 2 weeks into chemo, which my oncologist told me that was gonna happen, and I shaved it, like, pretty quickly because I was like, "This is way more traumatizing watching it fall out like
Watching it
this." Like
fall out.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm, like, brushing my hair, and it's, like, so bad, so bad. So I just shaved it. I was like, let's get it over with. But I didn't lose my eyelashes and my eyebrows until I was done with chemo. So I thought I was in the clear. I finished chemo last May and I'm like, and then here comes rolls around mid-June and I'm like, wait, now I really look sick. Cause now I'm like, oh my gosh, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, no hair. And I was like, just finished chemo and I'm about to go into surgery. And I'm like, what is
You're like,
happening over
where do you
here?
want to go?
I know.
My
But I
oncologist,
did all the like, my cousin came over, we did all the stencils, like, we did everything that we could think of for my eyebrows, and, like, then we just started having fun with
finding
it because it was so ridiculous.
eyebrow was a journey. I finally found one that looks decent. So, but yeah, my oncologist still laughs when he walks in. He's like, I'm never expecting you to be bald when I walk in. He's like, you're my only CML patient that doesn't have hair. I'm like, thank
Oh
you
my
for the
gosh.
reminder.
Yeah, you're like, "Thank you, thank you." I know, I did a lot of wigs because especially my girls were young and they were,
I
like, at
hate
school, and I didn't want them to be like, my
uncomfortable.
youngest especially, she was like, "Mom, can you please wear the same wig all the time when you come to the school? Because I don't want kids to make fun of" she didn't want kids to make fun of me, but also, like, she was only in 1st grade, and I didn't want the kids to make fun of her,
Yeah.
so there's, like, a whole thing of, like, protecting them too, so, yeah, that was super it was, like, so weird to navigate it.
I had to make the decision of whether I wanted to have hair or be bald because I don't want my patients to see like 17 different versions of Jordan every time they come
Right.
in.
Right.
And also, I just hate a wig. I hate them. They itch, they're hot. Arizona
Yes.
is hot inherently. So,
Yes.
I'm just
That's
gonna
when
be
I
bald.
stopped wearing them was last summer. I was like, "I don't care if my hair's, like, a quarter of an inch long, I'm done." Like, this is crazy.
No. That I feel like if my hair does come back, that will be the time that I wear the wigs because
Mhm.
I that I'm gonna go through the weird bald bowl cut stage.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Right now, I am
It
not
gets
having.
more awkward, like, every time. I was just telling my daughter the other day, I'm like, "I'm starting to go through another awkward stage," so I'm like, "What's the next cut? Like, what do you do?"
You wear a wig.
I know. I'm like, I have 6 wigs in my closet. I could just put them back on, like, for the time being.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, I just hate them. And, I don't mind my bald head.
No,
If
I
it
love it.
bothers
I
other
love it.
people, it bothers other people.
Right? I know, and it's funny that you say that too because my daughter would tell me because people would ask a lot. My wigs looked really good. My sister found this website, she sent it to me, they were reasonably priced, they looked natural. So I went a little funky, like one had like a little bit of blue and purple streaks with some blonde. And so one day we're at Starbucks in the morning and this lady, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair," but she keeps going and going and going, right? And asking about it. And so finally like I feel bad and I tell her it's a wig. And then she
I
goes, "Oh my gosh,
always
what?" She says, "Oh my gosh, why?" And I go, "Well, I have breast cancer." And the look on her face is like shocked, right? And my daughter tells me, "Mom, you can't hit people with that at 8:30 in the morning." And I said, "If they feel uncomfortable, that's their problem."
if
Like,
you feel like you can ask me, I'm gonna.
exactly. I said, "I'm the one going through it. I don't need to be over here cushioning a stranger's feelings that you were nosy. That's
Right.
on you."
My mom's funny because I will, depending on the day, if people ask why I'm bald, I will give them the alopecia story or the cancer story. If you are mean to me or uncomfy in any way, I'm telling you I have cancer. Let's all be
Yep.
uncomfortable about it.
Yep. Yes, I love that. Because people still they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair." And then we were just at a memorial service like about 2 weeks ago for a friend of mine. And the lady was super, super nice though. And I was like, this is not the time or the place to tell her why my hair is short, why I all the things, right? So I was just like, "Oh, thank you so much." And she's like, "No, and I love the color." And I was like, "Thank
Oh,
you." And my daughter's like, "You didn't say anything about having cancer." I said, "This is not the time or the place." And she was actually really, really nice.
my mom's like, "How do you decide what you're gonna tell people?" I'm like, "I don't know. Whatever comes out of my mouth, I guess."
Right. Or it's my mood, right? Like whatever I feel like.
Funny because some days I'm very grateful for people for asking other than just staring, and other
Right.
days I'm like, "Why do you feel like you can ask me this question?
Yeah.
I don't ask you why you're bald."
One day I was volunteering at the school and I had to remind myself that they were first graders because I was passing things out and a little boy asked me if I was a boy or a girl.
Children,
And I was like,
terrifying.
"Oh my gosh."
They always have something to say about it, and then their parents look mortified.
Right. Right. And the teacher at the time was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "It's okay." I told him I'm a girl, I just have really short hair. But yeah, it was a little awkward. But with you mentioned your mom and everything happening with your grandpa and all those things. What did support look like for you during your treatment? Like what
I
helped you the most? Maybe
yeah.
like what didn't help you?
I have a very big support system, and I would say in the beginning, the majority of them pushed towards like that toxic positivity. And I was eventually had to tell my mom and my dad, I was like, do not, if I'm having a day where I just need to like be mad or be scared, even to this day, and then we're 2.5 years into it. Every time I get a blood draw, every time I'm waiting for those results, I become a mess because I'm
Mhm.
like, every what if goes through my mind. I'm like, "Do not tell me it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Do not give me any positivity. I don't wanna be positive in that moment." So I would say steering clear of the toxic positivity is one of the biggest things I could say. Don't forget that people are going through something. Continue checking in on them. I know I'm a probably different story than most because I am doing okay, but, like, it's still nice to have someone be like, "Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How's your health? How's" My patients are actually probably the most frequent ones to check in on me. They're like, "How's your health doing?" I'm like, "It's good. We're here for you though." But no, I've had a wonderful support system. I'm an only child, so my parents have been kind of like my biggest saviors in all of this. I have wonderful bonus parents as well, so they have all helped keep me sane throughout this. My friends are phenomenal. They have all been great as far as the hair loss has gone. So I can't really say I've had any negative experience as far as the support goes outside of the positivity. Go away.
Yeah.
Don't try to
Same.
fake positivity with people that are not wanting to be positive about their situation.
Yeah, I would say the same, and I think for me, I realized, like, opening up and sharing it and just
Mhm.
accepting the help and receiving it, because there was a lot of other things that I did in my life that I didn't want to open up or share or receive help, and I was like, "I could do it by myself," but when I was diagnosed, I'm like, "Shit, like, Imma need help. I don't
Yeah.
think I could do this by myself," and that was the biggest thing is, like, you don't have to be strong for everybody, you know what I mean? You can let people help you, you can accept it because it like you said, it is freaking scary, and even after, and I'm coming up on 1 year cancer free, after's worse. I
Yeah.
100% agree. I was just talking to somebody the other day, I said, because when you're in it, like, labs, treatment, this, that, and then after you're like, "Okay, well, now what?" Like, now I
Right.
have to maintain this health, right? And now I'm like, "Oh my god, can I have that drink? Can I eat that food? Can I do this? Am I too stressed?" Like, all these things because you're like, "Shit, I don't want it to come back."
Right. And I told I asked my oncologist because I'm coming off in October. I told him, if you tell me there's another year, I'm flat out going to tell you no. Just so
Yeah,
we're both on the same page, I'm done. And he was like, okay. But I told him, I go, as long as we do blood work every month for the first year that I'm off, because I don't want to sit here and be worried for 2, 3 months at a time.
yeah,
Let's catch it if it comes back. Let's go back on treatment and then call it a day.
yeah,
But yeah, it's unless you've been through it, you don't know. And I applaud people for trying to like compare and give advice and those things, but you can't.
right.
There's a fear that you and I now live with that other people are never gonna live with.
100%. And people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're a year out." And I go, "Yeah, but I'm waiting for that. I got to wait for that 5 year mark because that's what my oncologist said. You got to make it 5 years." And I'm like, and then she starts telling me all that, well, it can come back in your bones and your lungs and your liver, your brain, but
Right?
that's not
I'm like,
likely. And
"You
I'm just
just
like,
not tell me the things."
yeah, right. And she's telling me the symptoms and she's telling me everything else. So then, like, even today, my daughter's like, "Why are you coughing, mom?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Oh my
Should I
god, I
get my
have
lungs checked?" Like, I start panicking, right? I'm like, it's the end of May. I shouldn't be getting sick. Like, what is going on?
if I'm overly tired one week, I'm like, "The cancer's back."
Right.
My mom's like, "No, you actually worked about 90 hours this week."
I know that was me last week. I needed a nap. I'm like, why am I napping? Why am I napping? Like, what's going on? And I'm just like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
start spiraling because you're like, I want to know the reason for this. And yeah, it turns out it was just my cycle.
there's usually an explanation for it, but yeah, it is what it is, right? We have been dealt this hand, and we're gonna deal with it just like
Yeah.
every other cancer patient, and we're all
e-
gonna We're all going to be okay.
Yep, and you just do your best, and I think you try to keep the thoughts at bay as much as you can, and you just deal like
I
you
don't,
said, you just deal with it.
truthfully, I don't think about it very often
Mhm.
until my blood draw is coming up. And then
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, yeah, I have cancer.
yeah.
So that's
I would say it gets less and less over time. Like,
right.
now it's not the first thing I think when I look in the mirror when I'm getting like, for me, after my surgery, it was so hard because I'm like, "Look at these freaking scars. Like, is this gonna be the first thing that I think about every single time I get in the shower?" And, like, now it's not. And I'm
Right.
like, "Okay, like, it's not the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning and the last thing I think about before I go to bed." Like, it's getting a little bit better.
Yeah, I understand completely.
But when in your work that you do now with women, you focus on what I love is like the root cause,
Yeah,
not just medicating and putting a band-aid on everything like probably happened to you when you were younger, right? But
correct.
what are the most common patterns probably that you see in women? Like somebody's just like I just don't feel right. I feel off.
Stress, normally. So when we're dealing with a female that just doesn't feel good, depending on age, perimenopause is one of them. Perimenopause is a complete educational gap, complete gap in the medical system in general. Women start to feel that around like 35. So, then we start to go after the other things. When we're in perimenopause, progesterone's funky, cortisol's funky, estrogen's peaking and troughing. So there we're trying to get everything in order as much as we can. Obviously, perimenopause ovaries are going to do what they want to do, but we can stabilize the cortisol. You can intervene with progesterone when you have to. You can get your blood sugar under control, make sure your insulin is stable. All of those things are going to make that transition easier for you. The other piece is the gut health, and I scream from the rooftops pretty much every single day that the gut is the foundation of all of your health. There is such a big tie to chronic fatigue, mental illness, autoimmune conditions from the gut that we just ignore as a medical community. And, I never fault the conventional side. They're taught completely differently than we are.
Mhm.
I truthfully believe there is a time and place for both of us. If you were having a heart attack, do you want Jordan standing over you? No, I have no idea what to do in that situation. I would 100% want a conventional doctor. But when it comes to the chronic illnesses, the people that just don't feel like themselves, we're probably the route to go. There is a subsect of conventional medicine that are now deeming themselves functional medicine that are doing their due diligence and trying to learn, a little bit more what we do, which I think is great. I think in the future, we're going to be trying to converge the two as much as we can.
I do too.
Hopefully, we do still run into conventional doctors that are like, you guys are witch doctors. And we're like, we're not, but okay. No, I'm not going to change my mind. Like, it
Well,
happens all the time. Just
Well, and I think it's so important because I know I looked at like, okay, what can I do holistically to go along with my treatment and my chemo and everything? Because there
exactly.
is a lot of them telling you that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you eat. And I was like, no, I go, and for me, like when you mentioned gut health, all of the medications and all the things they had me on, what I felt like were just wrecking me. I hated being on antibiotics. I hated being on pain medication. And I was like, so like, what probiotic do I have to take? Like what foods do I have to eat? And so that was a lot of research that I had to do on my own and find other people. And I think that's what people need to know is that, like I said earlier, whatever your doctor is, like your doctor's trained in that. And like Jordan mentioned, they're not trained in naturopath medicine or holistic, treatments for anything. So you might
Or if
need
it's
to
nutrition.
partner.
Yeah, I I got yelled at last time I said this by the conventional doctors, but they don't have a huge training in nutrition.
Right.
Granted, we only have, I think what, we did 4 quarters of nutrition. I think they do too. So if you want nutrition advice, see a nutritionist.
Right.
Specifically one that works in what you're doing. I work with a nutritionist who is great with hormones and gut health because I can give you the basic guidelines, but am I ever going to tell you that I know exactly what you should be eating? No, because that's not what I learned and that's not what I was trained in. So I think there is a world where we can all coexist together, but I think it's going to take the conventional side wiggling a little bit on what they're willing to learn, what they're willing to do, and what they're willing to accept from us. Arizona is wonderful in that capacity. A lot of the conventional doctors are familiar with our space and will work with us
Mhm.
begrudgingly, but they will work with us.
So if somebody's like listening and they're like, this is a lot. And they're overwhelmed by there's like wellness advice and doctors, and you're on social media and everybody's recommending some type of supplement, some type of peptide, some type of
Yeah.
something. Like, can you give like 2 or 3 like starting point habits or something? Like, where should they even begin?
Honestly, the biggest things in as far as hormone health, gut health, blood sugar regulation, eating within an hour of waking up, that's always going to be one of the biggest things that I say. Protein first. Don't have coffee on an empty stomach. That's going to spike your cortisol. Your cortisol is basically the mother hormone of everything else. So if cortisol is wonky, sex hormones are wonky, thyroid's wonky. So we need to work on the cortisol regulation. As far as gut health goes, stop throwing random supplements. That's the biggest thing I can say. Don't listen to advice from TikTok shop. Your influencer friends probably don't know what they're talking about. Go see an actual someone who knows what they're talking about. I offer a free 15-minute consult. Chat with me. If I'm not the person for you, I have a huge network. And then, yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing. Talk to someone who knows what they're talking about. Stop getting all of your advice from social media. I would
Yeah.
say 9 out of 10 times they don't know what they're talking about. And on that note, make sure you're comfortable working with who you chat with. You don't have to stick with the first provider that you meet with. I can't tell you how many patients I've been like, I'm not a good fit for you, but I do know someone who is because they're looking for a little bit more of a woo woo naturopath. They want the homeopathy, they want the energy work. And I'm not that person, but I do know
Mhm.
someone who is. But yeah, I think it's just wiggling around until you find the right provider for yourself. If you don't have the money for functional medicine, naturopathic medicine, try to find I've found that the functional nurse practitioners are typically covered by insurance and they work a little bit more like us. Find someone who's willing to do payment plans with you. But the biggest thing is just stop taking random advice. Make sure you're getting good advice. Make sure you're talking to someone who actually has letters behind their name, knows what they're doing. Your influencers probably are going to mess up your gut more than anything. The random probiotics are my least
Right.
favorite thing in the whole world.
And quite a few people that I follow now that are in like the cancer community.
Yeah,
And there was actually one in particular that she came under a lot of heat because she not only was recommending things and she was talking GLP-1s and like she had links. And so obviously you're making money, right? You're making money off of this. And it was actually one of my doctors that is on social media that she didn't even approach the influencer that was saying this, but the influencer approached my doctor, and my doctor was like, "You opened the door, so I'm gonna tell you the real deal. Like, this is not okay. This is not
no.
okay for you to be talking about this. It's not okay for you to be recommending this. Like,
Mhm.
you are painting a picture, and you don't know everybody's unique situation of what they
Yeah,
need. And like now, people are just getting this, and they don't know the dose. They don't know anything else. So, on that note, I want to ask you,
terrifying.
yeah, it's scary, right? And people don't know, like you said, they're seeing an influencer and they're like, "Oh, she's doing it. I kind of feel the same. Like maybe I should do it too." And but like I want to talk a little bit because I don't even really know a lot about it, but about peptides because I feel like that is a big topic right now and like I know you love it. Yes, you're like, "Okay, yeah, let's talk about it." I mean, yeah, like what exactly are peptides? What would people need them
Yeah,
for? What's the difference between peptides and GLP-1? Like
sure.
let's break it down.
So, peptides at their basic foundation are little short chains of amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks to your proteins in your body. So, they exist naturally. The problem we are coming up against and why they're, my opinion, why they are problematic in the US is you cannot patent a peptide. You can't patent something that's naturally occurring. So, the insurance companies are never going to be able to say, yeah, this is ours and you need to pay us for that. So, that, in my opinion, is why there's such a big gray market for it because the compounding pharmacies who are making them keep getting pushed out by the bigger pharmacies. That was my aside. Anyways, what they do. So the amino acid chain will go to a specific cell and they're like a signaling molecule. So it tells that specific cell to do one specific task. For instance, my favorite peptide, Selenk. Selenk I use for a lot of my anxious patients. You inject it, it goes around, it finds the GABA receptors up here in your pituitary, and it says, hey, we need more of you and we need some more serotonin. So it calms you down, balances out your anxiety, your mood issues. Who needs them? No one needs a peptide. Let's just start there. They are a tool. They can be coupled with another treatment plan. I say this all the time. They are not a magic wand. They are not going to fix all of your issues for you. They have different ones. We have ones that are great for weight loss. We have ones that are great for metabolic support. If you're using like a tirzepatide or something, it will help your blood sugar and your triglycerides and inherently your cholesterol because of that. There's the Selenk and Semax ones that I just mentioned. They're good for your mood, for your brain, for your focus. They're being studied for Alzheimer's. We have ones that are good for cell repair. So, like BPC 157 is great for repair. I use it a lot for gut health. It's good for the gut lining, good for inflammation in the gut. And then you have Glow. I use Glow. That's what's getting my hair to come back. I think Glow is a copper peptide and a combination of the other anti-inflammatories, BPC and TB500, which I just touched on. So to answer your question, they do a lot of things. There's not enough time in a day for me to talk about all the things that peptides do, but the biggest takeaway is they are a tool. They are not your complete treatment plan. They should be coupled with a actual root cause treatment plan. Let's figure out what the issue is. Let's fix the issue. Let's maximize with the peptide. And the other piece that I mentioned, don't get them off the internet. Please stop getting them from random strangers. Stop getting them off of the gray market. Spend the extra money and get them from an actual compounding pharmacy. See a provider who is giving you advice on them. I can't tell you how many of my patients push back on the cost of them and then purchase from the internet and they're like, "Can you give me advice?" I can't.
Yeah.
I can't give you advice for this random supplement you bought on the internet. I don't know what's in it. You don't know what's in it. That's bad medicine for me and illegal on my end. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I love
that's scary.
I think
Well,
peptides truthfully are like the future of medicine for us.
so when you're taking them, I'm assuming there's, lab work and everything else that's done to kind of see like what you specifically need for your body. But is it something that once you're on them, like, do you need to be on them forever?
No. You if you're seeing a provider who knows what they're doing, they will cycle you off of them, actually.
Okay.
So usually 2 to 3 month cycles depending on the peptide that you're on. If you're talking specifically the GLPs, the semaglutides, the tirzepatides, if you're not changing diet and lifestyle, yeah, you're going to be on them for a long time
Mm.
because you're going to come off of them, the weight's going to come back, and typically it comes back with a vengeance and you gain more.
I saw that. I've seen that a lot. And I do know a few people like even and on the GLP and they're like, I don't understand because like now I'm at a point where I'm not losing weight anymore and I'm watching them and I'm like, but you're eating like shit still. Like you're not
Oh, yeah.
moving your body. Like that's not a
It's not
band-aid.
Yeah, and I personally will not put everyone on a GLP. I'm very, very picky about who I put
Mhm.
them on because I'm doing you a disservice if I'm going to help you lose weight and you're not doing the right diet lifestyle things because that's just setting you up for failure in the end.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's super interesting because I was like, and I always ask people, I go, I feel like if I have questions, then my audience has questions as well, and it's just this thing where it's like, I don't know. I feel like I should know more because everyone else seems to know, but I really don't think anybody knows what they're talking about when I'm watching
I
it on social media. So,
I think most people who are chatting about them on the internet do not know what they're talking about. Make sure you always double check your resources. But yeah, peptides are phenomenal. I am actually about to make my own podcast episode on peptides probably next week. So I'll send it to you.
I love it. I want to hear more. And what caught my attention when you first introduced yourself at the event that we were at was you mentioned Blood Cancer United. And that's when my ears perked up because obviously by seeing you, I said, well, I think she probably has alopecia. I wouldn't have assumed that you were also a cancer patient. So when I heard that, I flipped around and I'm like, I wish I would have talked to her like yesterday, right? But I wanted you to share a little bit about what your because you're a candidate for Visionary of the Year at Blood Cancer
Yes,
United.
we actually finished that up right before I left for Europe. So we're done. It was a 10-week fundraising campaign, and we were raising money for BCU, of course. Blood Cancer United has kind of been pivotal in my own journey.
Mhm.
You know this, but when you get diagnosed with cancer, the world falls around you and no one else cares. Insurance was a nightmare. Finding treatment was a nightmare. Blood Cancer United was really the only people that were nice to me in that first like 2 weeks that I was talking to people. So I was approached by one of their previous visionary candidates, winners actually, and she asked if I would be interested in their Visionary of the Year campaign. And Very much out of my comfort zone. I hate fundraising. I don't like talking to people, which is shocking because of what I do. But I said yes because I just wanted to give back to a company or a nonprofit that helped me so much. And yeah, we finalized. I did not win because the winner raised like $150,000. Congratulations to her. But like,
Wow.
I don't have that kind of network. But yeah, we are all done. That was the most stressful 10 weeks of my life on top of running a business and getting ready for a 3-week Europe trip. I would say the timing was inaccurate for me, but we did good. We did as well as we could.
You're like, now I know. Now I know. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that around here in LA, and they do rides and walks and everything else. And I feel like between that and then, I got my kids and then they're doing their own stuff. And I'm like, I'm always going to be asking people for money. This is crazy.
Yeah, literally, I was like, they were like, should we approach you for the alumni? And I was like, no. No.
Not happening. So for the work that you do, and people have been hearing you on this interview, do you do virtual as well as in
Mhm.
person?
Yes, I do
I love
virtual.
that. So how can they contact you? How can they work with you? I'll put everything in the show notes.
Yeah, my website, you can find a 15-minute consult link. My Instagram, my handle is jordan.trapp with 3ps.nmd. There is a link there to a 15-minute consult. My consults are free. It's just for you to yap at me and we can figure out if we're a good fit. I do offer a peptide intake by itself outside of treatment with me, and that's usually the easiest way to get on the peptide train. And then TikTok. My TikTok handle is maybe jordantrap.nmd. I'll send that to you. But TikTok is where I do most of my education. Instagram, I use more for networking than anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, TikTok is where you can find most of the education for me. And I started a podcast called Unshakable and Unfiltered. So
Yay. I love it.
yeah. So that there's 2 episodes out right now. There's a third coming, I promise.
That's the thing. Just recording it and staying consistent. It's like
Literally last night at like 9 p.m., I was like, "Okay, we're just gonna get through this."
I had many, many, many. I'm supposed to release an episode tomorrow and I'm literally going to record it today. And I have a VA that does my YouTube and everything. And she's like, where's your solo? And I was like, girl, just skip it because I'm not ready.
My poor social person, who I also met at that event, by the way, Sarah Gemmel.
Mm,
She she's like, okay, we need content for you this week." I was like, "I know, I'm sorry. I'm still on Europe."
I know. I know. It is hard. It's hard to stay consistent and do all the things. But I love what you're doing. I love your mission. I always feel like I always say like it's turning your pain into purpose, right?
That
Because
was the
now you
goal.
want to give
Always the
back and
goal.
now you want to help
Yep.
other people. And I love that. And I feel like if we can take all the hard things that have happened in our life and really like turn it into
Turn it
something
good.
good,
Yeah.
then that's what it's all about, right?
That's always the goal. That has been my goal since I won't say day one, because like the first 6 months, I just wanted to punch someone in their eye. But after that, I was like, all right, we're here. We got to turn it into something good
Exactly. Like it has to mean something at the end of the day. Like I know I didn't go through all of this like
just to
for
go through
nothing to
all of
happen
this.
from it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's not happening.
for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I knew I was going to love this conversation and now I
I
know
love
even more about you
it.
and your story.
Thank you.
So for
Thank
those of
you
you
for
guys that are
having me.
of course, for those of you guys that are listening, maybe you know somebody else that might want to hear this episode too. Jordan and I would love it if you would share it, if you would tag us so that we could thank you. And let's just spread the message and, be our healthiest selves that we can be, right?
Absolutely.
So until next time, I hope that you guys create some sunshine in your lives today.